Yeah, family game collection. That's not been done before. Hey everyone, this is a new kind of video for me. I'm gonna try doing the whole video essay thing. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time now, and now finally doing it. Wrote a script and everything. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments. Leave me a like and all that kind of good stuff. I don't have a name for this type of show yet. I've been tossing around the idea of Colorwind Talks, My 2 Bits, but nothing has been finalized. So if you have an idea or you like one of those two, let me know. We're going to talk about E3 this week. It wasn't good.
You know, I really wanted my first episode to be something positive about the video game industry. With this show starting at the beginning of summer, it meant it would coincide with the end of 2021's Electronic Entertainment Expo, and I could probably talk about the hypest games revealed, or maybe talk about the future of the industry based on the announcements made. But the modern video game industry is what it is, and of course, it had to screw something up. This time, that something was E3 2021. Now, I want to make something clear from the get-go. I love E3. Every year, I clear my schedule, I don't make any plans with anyone, and if I need to, I reschedule things in my life just so I can have this 1 week out of every year to watch all of the E3 conferences and coverage. I lose sleep over it, I destroy my sleep schedule over it, I eat unhealthy pizza, and drink sugary carbonated sodas during it just to keep me going, just so I don't miss a thing. I've been doing this since 2005, which is around the time when I discovered the G4 network. I've been there from the highs of E3 2015, the Year of Dreams, to the lows of E3 2007, where it was held in a bunch of hotel suites. I saw the infamous PlayStation conference where Genji Days of the Blade was supposed to be this realistic game with real-life battles but featured giant crabs. I saw when Sony dunked on Microsoft about sharing physical games on the PlayStation 4. I saw the Skyward Sword demo where the improved motion controls didn't work on stage. I saw the reveal of Beyond Good and Evil 2, but when Jade was still in the game. I've seen all this wacky industry has done to sell their gaming boxes to the public, and I love it. That said, the event has slowly but surely been going down a dark path, coinciding with the same direction the industry as a whole has been going for the better part of a decade. Around 2016-2017, fewer and fewer announcements started to have that punch that they used to have, and less games started being announced, replaced with updates and season passes of existing games. Publishers also started to pull away from E3, taking Nintendo's example and making their own events outside of E3, but still during the E3 time span. None of them were as good as their previous year's live conferences. I'm looking at you especially, EA Play. However, the big gut punch was when Sony decided it didn't need E3 anymore in 2019. Consistently, one of the better presenters in the event forewent the event entirely, and it was replaced with a pre-recorded State of Play video. Sony's answer to Nintendo's direct videos. It was a notable loss for sure, but since the video was still there, it still felt like Sony was at E3, at least in spirit, not to mention the third-party support. However, this year was just dead air. Sony didn't even do a State of Play video, and the resulting echo was deafening. In fact, this, plus numerous other factors in the video game industry as well as the world, have resulted in this, what I feel confident in saying, was the worst E3 in the event's history. Now, I want to take a quick sidestep here and make something clear right now. This E3 was never going to be amazing. All of us, journalists, consumers, and industry folk alike, should have tempered our expectations because this year, E3 had a lot going against it. First off, it was the first time the event would be digitally only. No Los Angeles Convention Center, no booths for each publisher, no hands-on coverage from the various journalism sites. This meant that some companies that usually don't have presentations and relied on sites like IGN and GameSpot to cover their upcoming releases suddenly had to come up with a video to sell their games with little or no experience as to how to do this. Especially with Sony being out of the E3 picture entirely this year, even more publishers were left to fend for themselves since there was no other presentation to piggyback onto. Secondly, and most importantly, we are just barely coming out of a global pandemic. something of which has affected nearly every aspect of our lives. In the video game industry, this means many developers are working from home and do not have access to some of the facilities and resources they normally would. As a result, a lot of games have had their development time extended, and a lot of games that would have been released this year are getting delayed to next year and beyond. So there was no way we were going to get a lot of awesome games to look forward to at the end of the year, or even announcements of what was coming next year. We are still recovering from the pandemic, and in fact, there might be some repercussions from the pandemic next year as well. So I want to make it clear that I don't blame the teams working on games, all the developers, and even the publishers for not having a lot that they could share this year at E3. I understand that the pandemic slowed down the process, and I can wait until the teams get back at 100% efficiency and games can get done properly without crunch. What I do blame is the organizers of E3, the Entertainment Software Association, or ESA, or whoever's idea it was to give anybody and everybody some screen time regardless of whether or not they had something worthwhile to show, especially conceited greedy fuckboys like this. I saw several games show multiple times. I saw presentations that were 10 minutes long. I saw a presentation that was 2 hours and showed next to no gameplay. It was just interviews with the developers about the games they were making without the games themselves. And look, man, I like indie games, and there were some cool ones that I saw, but there were multiple presentations for these games when there could have been one. The Guerrilla Collective, Day of the Devs, Tribeca Game Spotlight, Guerrilla Collective again, Wholesome Showcase, the ESA's own indie showcase, Freedom Games, GameSpot's Game for All showcase, enough! But worst of all, I saw a lot of presentations use part or all of their time to sell things. Now I know what some of you may be saying. Technically, E3 is one giant commercial, meant to sell you on games that have yet to be released or even made yet. And while you're not wrong, you wouldn't be entirely correct either, as many developers put their heart and soul into these games, and it's not just to make a buck off of you. However, the Mythical Games presentation was just about NFTs and these brand name clothes that you can buy for the avatars in the game. There is no soul in that. Capcom had a fighting game esports hype promo and their presentation. And then, this 20 minutes of my life I wish I could get back was just these two entrepreneurial douchebags jacking each other off about their business models and getting to meet Drake and all the things that would get them put on a modern day Patrick Bateman's to-do list. E3 is supposed to be about games, but it's clear that some of these companies saw it as a way to make money, to market to a demographic that they clearly see as gullible and susceptible to the power of celebrity and pompous flashes of cash and luxurious lifestyles. And where there wasn't masturbatory commercialism, there were multi-million-dollar video game publishers scrambling to try to have their moment in the sun when they had nothing to show. No humility despite the industry, nay the world, still in the throes of COVID-19. But still they wanted their cake and still they wanted to eat it too, and waste everyone's time. This is an important problem because it's not really an issue exclusive to E3 2021. 2019's event also had a glut of presentations that didn't need to happen. E3 is becoming an event where the clout is more important than the actual content. This is just speculation, but it seems like anyone who is willing to give the ESA money can have a table at E3. Regardless of what they're presenting. The industry is getting bigger and bigger, but fewer and fewer games are being made. So how is this event becoming more bloated and unnecessary? A lack of quality control and curation, that's how. There's a lot of talk about publishers wanting to move away from E3, and considering some of the presentations we're getting at the event now, I don't blame them. We as an industry call E3 Gamers Christmas, but we are constantly walking away from it disappointed and exhausted. Oddly enough, all of this actually shows why we need E3 to begin with. Left to their own devices, some of these publishers do not know how to market their games on this scale. They need to rely on a console manufacturer or a partnership of some kind in order to present their games. The way it's done now, it makes these companies individually look weak and the industry suffers as a result. Despite how terrible this year was and how sick and tired I've become of the dog and pony show, we need E3. We need an event like this to gallivant those who would be developers and investors to believe in this industry, in this art form. However, E3 needs focus, it needs direction, it needs curation, and it needs a prime directive. I have my ideas and I'm sure you all have yours, but at the very least, the one thing I think we can all agree on is E3 needs to change.
Now, to be clear, I want to say something right now. E3 this year was not a complete and total loss. There were some games shown that were really exciting. I was happy to see Elden Ring shown again. I was happy to see Metroid Dread, that coming back from being canceled all those years ago. Super cool. And there were a lot of indie games that piqued my interest. But the real problem with this E3 was that a lot of those announcements felt less important because of how mismanaged and messy everything was. And that's important because if you don't deliver a message properly in a presentation, the message and the point that you're trying to get across is going to be muddled. And that's exactly what E3 is all about. So yeah, they need to fix this. But that's the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, if you liked it, please give it a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about E3 and give me your opinions about what you think should be done about it. Subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell, and share this video with other people so that I can get as many opinions and counterpoints as I can. Don't know when the next video like this is going to be, but hopefully it'll be soon because I have stuff that I want to talk about. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. Peace and love, gamers and players. Catch you in the next one.